Woo! Let me tell you something. Charlie Bordelon did not come to play with you fools. Charlie is not playing. Okay? Greetings, royal family. Queen Sugar recap. I know, I did not do a review last week, and there was a reason behind it. It wasn't really much to review. Just saying. So I was looking forward to this episode. So they done burned down Queen Sugar Mill, y'all. Burnt it down to the ground. Woo! Listen to me, and listen to me good. Charlie may be down and out right now like Cameron and Kanye West, but they have, I hope they realize what they did, because Charlie is not someone that you should tell that she cannot do something. So even though right now it looks a little bit rough and rocky, Charlie looks like, she's going through it. But baby, once she gives herself time to get over the initial shock of her bread and butter and her hard work and her family legacy being burned down, she is going to come out swinging, and she's going to be taking heads along with her. So picking up from the last episode, the campaign went good. And she got the support of the black councilwoman who basically needed Charlie to come with some hard evidence as to why the Boudreaux's, Landry's, or whatever, are trying to redirect the road from St. Thomas or into St. Thomas. So Charlie got that information. Of course, Jacob and his stupid self basically revealed everything that was taking place. And as far as the Boudreaux's are linking up with this power plant company or energy company, and she pretty much, in the last episode, she tricked him into telling her. I mean, she found out, but she wanted to confirm, so she tricked him into being forthcoming with the information. Fast forward to this episode. Charlie is at the mill looking disheveled and worn out. She got the call late at night, and in the beginning of this episode, you see it's daylight. So they've been there since like the night up until day. Ralph Angel is there. Micah is there. Ralph Angel is showing his support. And the fire marshal, I'm assuming he is, or one of the firemen, comes to Charlie and says, it was their irregular fire patterns and basically arson. Someone set the place on fire. So now this is going to be turned over to the authorities so an investigation can be done. Charlie's just like out of it. She looks extremely, extremely out of it. So in walks Nova. Nova walks in because she's back in town now. They just iced her, Micah was the only one that acknowledged Nova. Ralph Angel looked at her, didn't say anything. Charlie looked at her, didn't say anything. And as Charlie's getting up to go where she's going in the next scene, Nova's like, hey, maybe we should sit down and think things through before we do anything harsh. She turns around and she says, you don't get to say that to me. Like, in other words, Nova, girl, bye, okay? So Miss Charlie Bordelon, honey, shows up at that old hag's office, Jacob's mama. And that was the best scene in the entire episode. That's acting right there. Charlie shows up and she basically calls that woman trash. She tells her that she feels sorry for her because she basically is someone who has tried all her life to fit in, and she will never measure up, and she couldn't compete because she was just basic amongst all of the rest of her family members. And of course, I like this scene because it did touch on racism and what conversations that some bigots may have behind closed doors. And I call her trash, the trash lady. She basically called Charlie, she called her a mulatto gal, telling her that, you come from big money with your Hollywood scandals and your Hollywood money and your sex scandals and so on and so forth, and that she basically should stay in her place. And Charlie let her know, my place is wherever I want it to be. What era are we living in? You really think this way? Like, do you really think that this is gonna fly? I'm not my ancestors, sweetie. I'm Charlie Borderlone, right? And this is 2019, and my place is gonna be wherever I say my place is gonna be, because I bust my behind and I work hard to prove myself as a businesswoman, in spite of all the scandals, in spite of what you think of me, and she just started talking about, like, her mom. She said, you best leave my mom out of this, because Charlie's mother's white. Charlie read her rights. Now, she went with Ralph Angel, and Charlie was on some gangster stuff, right? She told Ralph Angel, stay out here and make sure nobody comes in this room. Okay, like, she called that woman basic trash, and I was here for it. And she says, I almost feel sorry for you. Almost. Walks out. Gets back into the truck with Ralph Angel, and she just feels so... She just breaks down, And Ra, isn't he cute? Ra said, you did good, Charlie. Don't worry, I got everything. And he plays a snippet he recorded the entire conversation. And I know at that moment, Charlie probably was like, thank God someone else is doing something that could benefit us other than me. You know what I mean? I loved it. So Hollywood comes back. I'm assuming he heard about the fact that the diner was vandalized, and he came back and he's just like, what do you need me to do anything? So on and so forth. And, he's just there for her, there for Aunt Vi. And Prosper, another scene where Nova actually came into the diner, which was a shocker, because it was like, I thought she wasn't allowed there. She came in, Aunt Vi wasn't there. She was home waiting for Hollywood, cooking, because she wants to have a family dinner, because everything that's going on. So Prosper, don't you just love his character? His character is so full of wisdom, and he's so refreshing. Because remember when he talked to Ralph Angel and told Ralph Angel, my daddy wasn't my biological father. Like, he's like the voice of reason. So, and plus he watched these kids grow up. You know what I mean? That's his best friend. These are his best friend's children. So he sat Nova down and he told her, listen, your father was my friend before he was your father. And I want to address something that I read in your book. Remember the last minute editing that Nova did, where she added about her father and the fishing trips, and she basically insinuated that her father buried something in a ditch in the field. So Prosper pretty much corrected her, and told her, or educated her and told her, what you saw your father burying was his pain. When he fought that man, the two men were very bloody and full of, dirt and stuff like that. So basically it seems as though Ernest buried the clothes that he had on, the bat. I think he said something about a bat that was used as a weapon or something like that. And he was burying his pain. So even though Nova didn't say that her father killed and buried someone, that is what the book kind of insinuated. You understand what I'm saying? So unless Prosper thought that Ernest was burying his clothes, this just dawned on me, and Ernest actually did bury someone or something, because remember when Charlie went to Aunt Vi, she was very tense and nervous, and she said maybe she thought that he killed the men too. I don't know, but there's too many secrets. So in that moment, Nova feels bad because apparently she didn't do her homework, or she thought what she thought, and she put it in her book, which is like a bestseller. She's going on a book tour. Everyone's reading this book. Next scene, what's his name? Calvin. Hey, Calvin. Because, last episode, she met up with Calvin on her book tour. So they rekindled and reunited, and they talked about them being in a relationship. So Calvin comes over. Remember, Nova's back home. Calvin comes over, and seconds later, Micah comes to the door. And, Micah slapped her with a dose of reality, and Micah said to her, like, you feel comfortable dating this guy knowing that he, was a cop? Do you know if he racially profiled or assaulted anyone? And Nova says no, not that she knows of. And he says, well, I'm pretty sure he's seen it done. Have you asked him? He's just not feeling it. Nova said to him, express yourself. Tell me how you feel. Because remember, Michael was assaulted last season by Officer Orwin or whatever his name was. He's racially profiled, thrown in back of a police car, and he was thrown in jail for absolutely no reason whatsoever. And it kind of shook him to his core, which is probably part of the reason why Micah has a bit of a rebellious spirit, because he is fighting back against authority because when he was racially profiled by an authoritative, figure, he felt helpless. So oftentimes when people feel helpless in situations, and they're lucky to get out of situations, they either retreat and become, introverted, or they actually rebel against that authority that was over them or that victimized them. A little bit of a psychology lesson. Anyway, so Micah called her out though. Micah called her out. And the good thing that came out of that is that Nova did have a conversation with Calvin, and she asked Calvin, have you ever racially profiled or assaulted anyone? He emphatically quickly said no. She asked him, have you seen it done? He said yes. She asked him, did he turn a blind eye? He said yes. Now, I wonder if this is going to change the dynamic of their relationship. But he did say that he was being honest, and he said that being with Nova made him want to be a better man, made him want to be a better person. Is that lip service? We don't know. But I feel some sort of hesitation now with Nova when she went to put her hand on top of his hand, because I wonder if she's doing a little bit of self-realization, like, damn, he turned a blind eye to, his colleagues, assaulting and racially profiling people. Like, am I going to be able to sit with that? I wonder if she's doing a little bit of self-reflection. So Nova, in another scene, Nova was talking to Calvin, and she was just crying, and she was just saying, hey, I really think I've lost my family. I really believe that I lost my family. And she breaks down crying, and it's just sad, because in the next scene, I know I'm going to go back, but in the next scene, I really felt for Nova. I did, because I don't hate Nova. I'm just trying to understand her. I don't hate her. Her character anyway, because I take these characters seriously. But anyway, so I don't hate her, but I just really try to understand her logic. In the next scene, which I thought was so beautiful, and it was just well positioned. Here it is, Nova's crying her eyes out, thinking, that she lost her family, and the way that they looked at her worse than a stranger when she tried to show up and be there for Charlie after the mill burnt down. And in the next scene, you see Aunt Vi praying. This is after they had dinner, and Charlie's having her meltdown because she's trying to figure out how to solve this equation and solve this problem. And that next scene after that, you see Aunt Vi praying. And Aunt Vi is just talking to God and saying, I don't know how you're going to get us out of this, but I thank you for protecting us. She prayed for Ralph Angel, Charlie, Micah, Blue. And just when I thought anyway that she wasn't even going to mention Nova, I said to myself, nah, that ain't even in Aunt Vi. And she said, and even I miss that stubborn child. But she said to please touch her heart and touch her head. And she said, and please protect her. And it almost made me emotional, because it's like on one scene, you see Nova thinking that she's lost her family completely. But Aunt Vi, which is like a mother figure to her, is praying for her, And some of us, I saw this on Instagram, and I reposted this, but it's so true. Some of us are alive and okay today because of our grandmothers or our mother's prayers. And it's like, that just made it, okay, there's hope. Aunt Vi, she told God, like, I am upset with her because I cannot with that girl, but you please protect her. You keep her safe. And I tell you, that's unconditional love right there. Unconditional love. And I didn't expect anything less from Aunt Vi, because as she was calling out names, I was like, she gonna pray for Nova. And she did, So another scene, that broke my heart. Darla, Lord. Somebody go check on Darla. Y'all go check on Darla and make sure she gonna be all right. Oh my God. when Ralph Angel was with Disha, little black beauty, his I guess you could say that they're girlfriend and boyfriend now, but anyway, his lady friend. She's basically kind of preparing him to appear before the board because last episode his friend got arrested, and they planted those drugs on him. And now he is under review with the board. Now the board is responsible for funding. That funding is responsible for paying the workers, right? So she's prepping him, and then Darla is seeing on the news that the mill caught on fire. So she tries to call Ralph Angel, no answer. She rushes over there, and Ralph Angel and his lady friend were on the porch. The hurt in Darla's eyes. Now, I don't know if I said this in my last review, but I said it in my head. Darla is really not okay because she is still madly in love with Ralph Angel. You can see it. You can tell. And I feel like, now, hopefully not, but when she came to Ralph Angel's house, and Ralph Angel is such a gentleman. He wasn't like being rude to her. He wasn't trying to diss Darla for Disha or anything like that. He was very respectful, gentleman, you know? And I feel like Disha kind of commands that sort of, you know, Ralph Angel, you're a gentleman. And he was always a gentleman, but it comes out. But anyway, so Darla's like, oh, you know, I just want to make sure everyone's okay. And I think when she realized, because she hadn't seen him with Disha before, once she realized that Ralph Angel, this is not only his lawyer, because she knows Ralph, he likes this girl. Like, this is why every time I call him, my calls go straight to voicemail, not knowing that there's a whole host of other things that he's dealing with. But she left, you know, it was cute. Disha was like, you know, I'm going to go inside and give you guys a minute. And she's like, no, you know, I'm leaving. And she's like, I just want to make sure you're all right. He said, I really appreciate that, Darla. You know, he's so respectful. He's so respectful of her feelings. But I don't think Ralph Angel sees that Darla is still madly in love with him. He's just being respectful, you know, in the presence of his lady friend. Poor Darla, child. That broke her heart. That broke her heart. It really did. And she was home crying, and, you know, Ralph Angel and Disha, they had like a little dinner date at his house, and she was very encouraging. And Ralph Angel had his meeting before the board, and even though Disha represented him, the board basically did state that they're still going to have to look into it because the mill just burnt down, which is a huge loss. How are you going to pay your employees? Like, by law, you have to pay your employees. You know what I mean? So, yeah. So we still have to look into this. So now Ralph Angel is burdened with the task of having to lay off his employees, you know, which sucks because he said to Disha he feels like he's letting his father down and he feels like he's disappointing his dad. And in this moment, she says, you know, your feelings are valid, but it doesn't mean that they're necessarily true. And then she kind of went into talking about how when she was young and when her daughter was younger and her daughter's father left, how she was still breastfeeding her baby when he left and was gone, and she was studying for the bar. And she just kind of, she empathized with him. In that moment, that was an empathetic moment, like just letting him know how she took it one day at a time, and step by step, she came out of what it is that she was going through. And I feel like that put Ralph Angel at ease, because maybe he feels like, even though he likes her, he probably feels that she can't relate, because he thought that looking at her, she has everything so put together. And he did say this, you know, he wonders if he's cursed because people are so blessed, and he's just insinuating that she's like perfect. She has everything put together. She has no stress. She's not dealing with a fraction of the things that he's dealing with. So I guess to humanize her to Ralph Angel, because he thinks that she's just this perfect, angelic, you know, person, untouched, hasn't gone through the fire, to humanize herself in Ralph Angel's eyes. And I noticed that she was picking up her plate and picking up his plate, and it was at his house. It was definitely at his house, I think, right? And I noticed that she's willing to take care of him, not in a financial sense, but his emotions. And I think that she can relate to him a lot, but he doesn't really see it. But I think now he's starting to see it when she talked about her overcoming some of her trials and things like that. So I thought that that was beautiful. I love the fact that as a woman, she kind of initiated, you know, the flirting, which led to, he wanted her to spend the night, and it basically led to them, you know, being intimate, which was beautiful. You know what I mean? And I love that. Like, she's such a woman who knows what she wants. She's not afraid to show him that she cares about him. And it's a 50-50 exchange. I really like that balance. I do. So his phone rings in the middle of the night. You know, Disha is sleeping, and it's Darla. Oh, God. You know, and she's just, you could tell her nose is red. She was crying all night, and she was just like, oh, you know, I'm glad everything's okay. And then they're talking about Blue, which, you know, they always connect over. And she says, you know, I can come over if you want, you know, to kind of get him off your hands. He said, nah, that's okay. You know, he's been asleep. Darla is scared because she knows how Ralph Angel loves. She knows that he's he's a passionate man. He's a man that handles his responsibilities. He loves hard. And she knows that if that goes to another woman, there's no hope for them getting back together, because I do think that she feels some sense of there might be a glimmer of hope because of their connection and because they have Blue. And in the last episode, when she you know, when they put what happened, they put like her co-workers found out about the book, and they put the book on her seat with a post-it on the chapter about her and her addiction. You know, she called her friend, the guy, I don't remember his name, and they were at like a little coffee shop outside, and they were talking, and he was saying to her, you know, I think you should call your sponsor. And you can tell that she got frustrated because she says, you know, I'm not, what did she say? Like, she basically said, I'm not going to relapse. I'm just upset, you know, I'm not weak. I'm just upset. I needed someone to talk to. And you can tell that she got frustrated with him because he didn't understand her. Like, I bet you if she would have called Ralph Angel and they would have talked, he would have understood. But that's because you guys have history. So I'm really concerned with Darla. I thought that the book was going to take her out of here. But I think that Ralph Angel being with somebody else and being in love with someone else might send her over. You know what I mean? So we're going to keep Darla uplifted in prayer. We really are, because her heart is hurt. You know what I mean? Like, she was angry with Nova about the book. She was angry and scared that her tea was going to be spilled. But Ralph Angel is the love of her life, and looks like he's moved on, you know. But I love the fact that he took the time to speak to her, because I think he understands that there are probably certain things that can trigger her. So he's very delicate with her. Now, as far as telling Darla about Disha, I'm sure he eventually will. I think he will. But he's going through so much right now. Like, that's the last thing on his mind. All right, Charlie. Look, Charlie, I understand that a lot of stuff is happening. Ooh, this is already 23 minutes. A lot of stuff is happening. But Charlie, I'm going to need you to grieve, and I'm going to need you to pull it back, okay? Because you got to get this on track. But I don't doubt that she will. She just needs some time. She needs some time to just kind of grieve and you know, trust me, Charlie's not going out soft. Now, Miss Aunt Vi, let me tell you something. I've been telling y'all in all these reviews, Aunt Vi is keeping secrets. She is holding on to more than we know. What was Sam Landry doing at her diner? And why did she say that I need to call in a favor? Why does he owe you a favor, Aunt Vi? Now, I love you now, Aunt Vi, but listen, this secret keeping is out of control. It's out of control. Out of control. So he came to her diner and he said, you know, I would never do something like this. And she said, listen, but your people, I need you to call this off. He said, this is bigger than me. Well, I need you to call in that. I need to call in that favor or cash in on that favor you owe me. You know, don't try, do it. See, Aunt Vi, listen to me. If you don't come out with this information, it's going to bite you in your behind. And I think that is what you are upset about with Nova, because it represents the secrets that you are keeping. Now, I'm not saying that Nova was right. Don't chew me up in the comments, y'all. I'm not saying Nova was right, but I'm not saying she was wrong either. I think that the way she went about doing it could have been a lot more sensitive, you know? But anyway, let me come up off Aunt Vi. I'm not mad at Aunt Vi, but Aunt Vi, you holding on to some secrets. You definitely holding on to some secrets. So, Sam Landry, that's the trash lady's brother. He shows up at the location where Charlie was. She went to the mill and she was just kind of like crying and, you know, upset about the fact that everything is just gone to shambles, burn. So he told her that I would never cause physical harm to you or your family. And Charlie was just not trying to hear it. She just said, you know, just go away and leave me alone. You know what I mean? Just leave me alone. Do I believe Sam Landry? Yeah. Yeah, kind of. I do. Because I feel like if he was going to cause any harm, physical harm to her family, he himself would have done so a long time ago. He could have. He could have burned down that mill when it was first, you know, put up. But the mere fact that he didn't, I don't know, says a lot. Now, I don't say I trust him, but I do believe him. Now, as far as that sister of his is concerned, I don't know. So this was another good episode of Queen Sugar. Charlie looks like she is going to be in shambles and drinking. Oh my gosh, Romeo. Romeo comes to visit Charlie and ask her about the migrant workers. Remember in the hurricane, the migrant workers died because their boss, which was Charlie, told them that they still had to work. So Romeo finds out. He's not pleased. He walks out on Charlie. So that's it. So she done lost her man. She done lost her mill. She done lost money. Let me tell you something though. One thing about Charlie Bordelon, and she has proven this over these past seasons, is that she's not going down without a fight. So even though this is a weak moment, I just cannot wait to see her rise up from this. And, you know, Aunt Vi said something during their little dinner, you know, that you don't have to have all the answers now. And I think that's what's making her crazy. She has to like sit with this. She's normally so used to, if there's a scandal, we're on it, we're fixing it. We got lawyers, we got press, we got this, we got that, we got publishers, we got PR, da-da-da-da. She has to actually sit and take this in. She has to take this in. She has to take this L. She got to sit and be angry and be embarrassed and be shamed and be vulnerable. And that's out of her comfort zone, because normally whenever something hits the fan, she springs into action and she's playing cleanup. She's doing cleanup. But this, she actually has to wait. And I feel like this is good for her, because she needs to take the time. I mean, it's not good that her mill burned down, but I'm just saying, this is just going to take her to another level, because that girl is a beast. Charlie is a beast. And I feel like I know that she's going to bounce back from this. And when she does, she'll be operating from a different place. Like, she's a hustler and she's a go-getter. But I feel like sometimes when you get knocked down unexpectedly in a way where you're not used to being knocked down, it makes you wiser. It makes you smarter. It makes you change up the game. Like, oh wait, I never took this particular blow before. And it causes you to be witty and think, especially if you're already smart. This will give her a different type of wisdom, and to basically play chess a different type of way. So she's definitely not gonna lose. I don't foresee it. We definitely know Charlie's character, how she is. She's an overcomer. So next week also, Aunt Vi said she's sitting down with Hollywood, and she said that she has something to confess and talk about as it pertains to Jimmy Dale. So at least Aunt Vi is coming out with something. We're also going to see Nova get in contact with her mother's first cousin, I think it was, that was revealed on the last episode. So we'll see. We'll definitely see. Rub family, that's all I got as far as Queen Sugar. Get down in the comments. You know this is my favorite show to review. I'm just patiently waiting for Power to come back. The countdown begins. And trust and believe, when Power comes back on, you know I'm going to be doing my commentary on that. So get down in the comments. Share your thoughts as far as this episode. Like I said, don't chew me out too bad for not doing a review last week. Leave your comments about, last week's episode and this week, because, I always get down with you guys in the comment. Like this video if you like it. Be sure, to thumbs it up. That helps YouTube send my videos out, in these YouTube streets. And as always, my lips are dry, so I'm going to go now. Love you for watching. Peace.